She
Whoa.
gets me. She gets me every time. She gets me every time.
You moved your head so fast. I don't know if it was a glitch, but it made you look like a robot.
Or am I? Am
Troubling
I?
times. I read somewhere the other day. I saw a fucking reel of Gary Vee, and he was talking to a room full of people, and he was like, some of you in this room are gonna have grandkids that date robots, like AI robot humanoids. I was like, fuck.
Damn it, Gary Vee. We've got enough to worry about right now. I'm not trying to
Right?
be robots daughter-in-laws.
That's it. I didn't know how I felt about it. Like,
Not good.
not
Not
great.
not feeling good about that one bit.
No, I just feel like there's so much to pick apart with that, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
disclaimer,
Yeah.
Angela is not a robot, which is something a robot would say.
Yeah. What are those things called? You know, the like when you're trying to get into log into something and it's like these squares
Oh,
that pop up if you're a robot, like to make sure you're a human, pretty
yeah, yeah,
much.
yeah. I don't know what they
Those are
call it, but it's like a
stressful.
little test. It is
Yes, it's
stressful.
stressful. 'Cause it's like tap every or like highlight every square that has a motorcycle in it. And then there's
Yeah,
like a little tiny corner with the motorcycle tire. And I never know like, oh, do I tap that or not, you know? But I
yeah,
usually do.
yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. And sometimes it's like a trick question somehow and you get it wrong. And I'm like, surely like the robots are smart enough at this point to be like to know better than humans if it's like
yeah.
a motorcycle actually or not.
I feel
Fucking
like if you are starting to date a human as a robot, you're
mm.
gonna get those squares right.
You're gonna get
You
it
know?
right. Well, see, like, okay, like since we're on this now, because I've been thinking about it, I just have so many like, okay, like what about like if the robots get that smart that like, they're considered sentient. The thing is, someone's still programming it, right? And I just feel like it's gonna get super dystopian. There's gonna be like 100 um Carmen Electra's circa 2000 body edition made. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna
Uh,
be like, and like, what's the Carmen Electra robot's stance in all of that? Does she get a say in it, or is she just gonna be like sold off? You know what I'm saying? If she's that
yeah.
sentient. Should there be so many? I don't know. I had a lot of questions about it.
I think once you ask one and then you answer one and then you ask there's a thousand more
Yeah.
questions to consider. Like what does Carmen Electra think? Like if they're making robots based off of her, does she get a cut? You know what I
That's
mean?
it. And is it her? Like, do they program it with like all this stuff that she's said and done and whatever? Or is it its own sentient thing? I guess these are some of the ethics and stuff that they probably would have to discuss. But I was just like, oh, okay, like this is a conversation now, like that people are talking about. I just
It's a
can't,
creepy one.
yeah, it is a creepy one to me. But it's so funny. My husband's so chill about this stuff. When I brought it up, he was like, yeah, he's like, people are going to progress. He's like, every generation's uncomfortable with the progress of the last one. He's like, but it's going to happen. Progress is going to happen. That's uncomfortable regardless. And we had this whole debate
Oh,
about it. And but, I was like, I
yeah.
was like, but how could it be the same? I was like, it's like somebody's programming it. How could you like compute it the same as being like, and he's like, what are humans but a collection of like information and stuff?
Oh,
And
damn.
like, I was like,
Damn.
so we just had this whole debate about it. Um,
Damn. That
most,
CBD oil was getting you guys. The CBD gummies.
it was just a regular Monday night in the Schubert house.
I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that.
I was
No,
in my
you're not
feels
going to catch
about
me.
it, and he was so chill. I was just like, how are you not more concerned about this?
Right? How are you not concerned that robots might be living amongst us? You're not going to catch one in my house.
No,
Listen,
me neither.
I don't even like parrots because they can talk.
And
I'm
has
not.
nobody fucking seen iRobot? Come on. Like, how many
Well,
movies do we need? The robots get too smart. They decide that we're a pestilence. They destroy us. It's like every bloody robot movie. Does
and
nobody
it's
watch them?
valid. It's valid. It's valid.
Literally, if I was a
Robot.
robot, I'd
Yeah,
also be like, it's giving pestilence, it's giving like, abuse of power of the earth.
it's true. It's so true. And that's why we're afraid because
Yeah, we know.
we know that they would take us out because they probably maybe should. I don't
These are like some of the big questions that we were having. And like my biggest issue with it is it's like obviously the average Joe can't afford Carmen Electra 2000. The average Joe is not going to be able to like afford a like to make or have a robot. So who again, once again, who are the people making them? The rich people. And like yeah, like what I guess like my husband's point was he's like that like at every point in history people have been afraid of like televisions, phones, like everything that's come about. And he's like society finds a way to adjust around it. And I was like, dang. See, that's why I married him. This kind of like because I was
he's
getting all
smart.
of my feels about it and he was just like, you're overwhelmed because it's foreign to you. And I was like, fuck. But I
Man.
still think the ethics of it is like gonna be a big deal. If it actually happens, like robots are going to need their whole own ethics system because, yeah, if they're going to be considered sentient or whatever, they shouldn't be allowed to be like that was my problem in the end. I was just like, if they are going to be that smart that they're considered a consciousness, then that like gives a whole other issue, right? Anyway.
A lot of issues. It's a lot. I mean, we're going into places my brain wasn't ready for.
I know. I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
been like on repeat in my head, along with the mushroom murderer in Australia. Sorry,
I'm
I
sorry.
shouldn't laugh. It's not funny at all.
What's happening? What
Okay, there's this lady, and I've only just like when I was grabbing my coffee, read the story. I saw it in the paper the other day, but I was in a rush that day, something about mushroom murderer. That paper made it sound like she was innocent, so I didn't pay much attention. It just was like a small article. And then today, when I was grabbing my coffee, I was like, wait, first front page now. And so from skimming the story before running back up to do the podcast, I gather this lady invited her, she's killed 3 people. So she invited over, okay, this is the sus part. I believe it was the grandparents on her ex's side, so her in-laws, her ex-in-laws, um, and the brother of her ex. It appears that she found a way to just invite them over without her kids present to tell them she had cancer, which she doesn't have, allegedly. So it was like a lie to get them there. Then she made them an elaborate dinner. I believe it was beef Wellington. She's
Why
like,
is it always beef Wellington? Why does that feel like a serial
I
killer meal?
think it is a serial killer meal. I think someone else in the UK did that same thing with the mushroom murder. It must be, I guess, because you would like potentially drown it in gravy and tomato sauce, so you wouldn't taste that something was off, maybe. Or maybe it's just like, because I read that she was in like a chat group of someone who like murdered their baby or something.
Oh
So
my
it's getting
God.
deep and dark. And so when basically I read that somebody who was at the dinner thought it was odd. I think one of them must have survived. They thought it was odd that her plate was a different color to everyone else's when she
Yeah.
served the food.
Yeah.
So she must have put the non-poisoned one on her plate and that so she knew it was that one. But then when they were admitted to hospital, so she put like the death cap mushroom. Do you guys have that over there?
I'm not sure.
It's one of the most deadly mushrooms in the world. Like it's death. Like literally even
It belongs in Australia.
yeah, basically. And
Okay.
it kind of just pops up in like even in the Botanic Gardens near like it's like a very prominent garden near us and there'll be signs intermittently that like sometime do not pick any mushrooms. Sometimes the death cap mushroom pops up in the gardens.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so yeah, but she said she hadn't been picking any mushrooms, but then she had this dehydrator that she'd like disposed of at the tip that it seemed like she probably like picked and she tried to wipe her phone, But I think the super tech people found that she had been visiting areas recently where there had been alerts that those mushrooms were.
Damn. Damn.
So it's giving like guilty as sin from what I read in my quick scan. But I'm just
Yes.
fascinated. Like I'm fascinated. Her ex was like, I don't feel comfortable being there. So he never came to the dinner. So I believe, survived the incident. And then she pretended she was sick as well. She went into hospital, like saying she was sick, allegedly. And the doctors were like, bitch. And she said she served the kids leftovers, but she scraped the mushroom off. And like, why would you do that? Unless it was like, because she didn't want to have to take the kids into the hospital. But the doctor was like, get them the fuck in because if they have this in their system, they're dead without
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was all very suspicious and very fascinating. The faking cancer part, I was just like, who are these people? And even the article was like, even if she did it, we may never know why. Like we may never understand like what pushes someone to this point that they do something this elaborate.
Yeah. Damn,
Um,
there was layers to it. I mean,
layers.
layers.
So that's been on my brain nonstop, along with
Of course it
cyber
has. Yeah.
robot love interests that may take over the world.
I feel like you need to write like your own anthology with all of these ideas that you have pop up into your head, you know? Just
Yeah,
go
the
for it.
ones that just won't let go. What's on repeat in Montoya Head at the moment?
Oh my gosh. I feel like nothing's going on in my brain at the moment.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? Well, okay. I I downloaded this app and it's like for your brain, like to exercise the brain muscles. They're just like games and
Yeah,
they're like short little games. So I have been doing that. I'm on my like a 20-day streak right now.
play.
So that's what's been on my brain is play because there's a few
Mm.
games that like I'm addicted to now.
Ooh, what's it called?
Let me look it up.
It sounds
It,
cool.
it's
So it's
called
like
Impulse.
design impulse.
Yeah.
Ah.
And so it's like so it has like
Oh
all of these
yeah.
different things and like one of like you I do like a personalized program. So it's like these
Mm.
three little games that you play and it's all for memory and to like build your like I don't know, your brain.
Yeah, make new neural pathways and whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and so they also have like tests on here which is really fun like personality tests.
That is fun.
So that's what's been on my brain is this app
What
because
have
it's
you learned about yourself? What are the personality tests like? Is it like you are an otter style person or like that kind of
yes.
shit?
Yes, actually I am a creative.
I
No, I
wouldn't know.
yeah, it tracks.
It
It tracks.
tracks.
Like it's basically like a creative is basically like you can't do anything else but create. Like that is your that's where
Mm,
you belong. So it feels right.
that fits so right.
But yeah, so there's like these games on there and I'm really terrible at them, but I want to play them and get better. And so that's
Yeah,
what's been on my mind.
that's cool. I love that. I didn't know you were doing that. It's fascinating.
Surprise.
Surprise,
Surprise.
motherfuckers.
And I'm just out here just working on the little brain up
No, but I
here.
love stuff like that because it does, like, it's like proven that you can form new neural pathways and new ways to deal with things. It's like, it's one of the reasons I love meditating so much because I've like seen it in my own life. The way for me, it's like dealing with problems. Meditation has changed that for me so much because before I would just kind of drown in my feels and I couldn't get out of it. When, oh, someone's knocking at my door. Hang on. Got a delivery. Lucky
Don't eat
it's
mushrooms. If they have mushrooms, stay away. I don't know where the microphone is on this thing, but because I am using my MacBook, but if you're listening to me, Melanie Schubert is um just a hot bitch. I don't know where the microphone is, but she's a hot bitch. She's taking too long at the door. I hope she's okay. I'm not sure what happened, but hopefully she's fine. Oh, she's coming back. What is it? What do you got?
I'll show you actually. I forgot. I forgot it was coming, but I'm it's my favorite face wash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've become a bit addicted to it because it makes my skin all like dewy and like fresh.
Yeah. We love a dewy
I'll have an
face.
unboxing. I don't know, now it looks like I'm doing a promo. I just want you to see.
Yes, let's see. The
It's called
shade
Row
thing.
Remedy, and they like try to do all natural stuff. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, I like the packaging.
Isn't it cute?
Yeah, it fits your vibe right now too.
It does a one is like this, it's just like a face wash. It's a Rosalinda face cleanser. Yeah,
Oh.
play. And the other one is this one is the one that makes your skin all dewy. Kakadu
Ooh.
Plum Vitamin C Face Serum.
That's Kakadu?
Kakadu. It's like a Aussie region, and yes,
Oh, okay.
but it's a type of plum, native plum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yum.
Anyway, I love it. It just gives my
We
skin a little spruce.
Yeah, I've been noticing you have been looking dewy lately.
Thank you. I
Very
don't love my foundation at the moment. They didn't have my usual one. Up close, it's actually really dry. I don't think I'm going to buy this one again, but
uh, I've been using beef tallow as my like
ooh,
lotion. Yeah, I love it.
really?
It's a little like greasy, so obviously
Yeah.
you're not gonna use it for like maybe day-to-day stuff, but like
Yeah,
she
your
she
skin looks
glows.
amazing. What's the smell like though? Do you use just pure tallow?
No,
Because I use it for cooking sometimes and I found the smell can be a little strong.
no, mine it smells like what is it? It's either like vanilla or orange. I can't
Oh,
remember off.
gotcha. It's
Yeah.
formulated for the face. It's not just the one straight out of I'm not going to go into my fridge and rub some tallow on my face.
I mean, you probably could.
I
You
probably
probably
could, but it
could.
smells a bit bony, you know?
Yeah. I don't suggest that one. I don't suggest that one. Mine comes in like this little jar, like that
Oh,
big.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it lasts a while because you don't need a lot. But it's really good on your hands as well.
Mm,
So get
slay.
that. Oh, not the cooking tallow. Get the
Not the cooking. Although I'm super tempted to try it now.
you should. I think you should. You're gonna come back looking real dewy.
I'm excited to try this. I forgot I got this. I had to spend like a little bit of extra money to get free postage, so I got this. It's like a dry brush. It's meant to like exfoliate really
Ooh,
gently.
that
So
looks nice,
not even
actually.
gonna, it does look nice. You're not even
Yeah,
gonna recognize me. I'm gonna give myself a little face massage later with this brush. But no, I fucking love this brand. So yeah, look out.
we're
One
here for
birthday, I
the
might
self-care.
send it to you.
Here for the self-care. I think it's
Yes.
great.
But I digress. Sorry for that interruption.
No,
What were
I think
you saying? Is
what
everyone
were we
okay?
talking? Yeah,
Something
that
just
was
fell.
Adrian. Yeah, Adrian just dropped his friggin' phone. Hopefully it's
As
okay.
as long as he didn't like fall down the stairs.
Well, that's why he dropped it because Smokey, freaking Smokey's ass. So we have a two-story house. So
Yeah.
and our stairs are wood. Our whole house is wood.
Mm,
But it's kind of like not slippery, but it's
polished.
slick. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's polished. And so Smokey's little toes, he kind of slipped, I guess, at some point and fell down the stairs. Yeah.
Smokey.
No. So add it to the list of things that make that dog, a weird guy. So now he goes up the stairs because he loves being upstairs, but he can't come down.
Oh,
He just paces back and forth
you have to
until
carry him down.
somebody, yeah. So Adrian was carrying him down and dropped his phone, not the dog, the phone. So, and
Oh.
Smokey doesn't like to be carried. So you have to like
Up the
basically like
fuss.
catch him. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So I bought some it's a whole
Smokey
thing.
is such a diva.
I know. He is. I just heard him drinking from his stupid water fountain I bought
You bought
because
him
he
a
needs
fountain.
yeah, he needs fresh water.
Fuck's
So
sake, Smokey. He's got you whipped.
I
His little
know.
fountain. He gets carried down the stairs.
So dumb because we have our outside dogs, that are there to
Yeah,
protect the
yeah.
sheep and the goat and the chickens. Those guys, man, you just like smile at them and they're as happy as can be.
Yeah.
This guy that lives in the house is the biggest diva of us all. It's just
He
ridiculous.
rules the roost. I love it. I'm gonna cosplay as a dog in the Montoya house and see what happens. I think life could be good.
It could be good.
Except
Come
Cookie won't
cosplay.
have it. He'll be like, bitch, no.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd
That would,
bully another indoor dog.
yeah, I don't know what he like. I don't know how would Goose handle it if you guys got another
Oh
dog?
my God. When I've looked up, like I actually had to stop looking after other dogs because
Oh, did you?
because Goose is such a diva. Like she gets very possessive about her food. I think because she was a little runt and she had to maybe fight for food from the other dog. I don't know. She's just a troll. Um, and so she's okay with like having them in her space, but anything to do with food or toys, she just becomes hyper possessive and she will pop off. Like she will like and she's never like, oh, one time I did see a tuft of hair fly, just a little tuft flew off when she really got into it with one of my friend's dogs and he went back and that's what I get scared about as it escalates because I don't think she'd ever hurt another dog, but it looks like she would. She gets very like loud and like pins them down, or if she can't pin them down, she kind of like But I'd like to think she wouldn't hurt them. But then the time I saw the tuft of hair fly, that was a really intense flight. And the other dog, if the other dog doesn't go into submissive, she just keeps escalating.
Hmm.
So it's, yeah. I would have another dog by now she wasn't such a troll. Um, I'd love to have two, but I don't want to make my life misery. But
Yeah.
I may still break. I may still break because, I keep seeing puppies and I'm just like, ah. Little sister for Goosey. But yeah, I have to be like mentally ready to deal with
Yeah.
like the intensity of what would be meal times. They might have to be separate, and I just don't know if I want that. So
Yeah.
yes, she's a fucking diva to the max.
She has that diva energy for
My
sure.
God,
Like you look at Goose and you're like, okay,
yeah,
that girl
she rules the
knows
roost.
what she's about. She knows her worth in this world.
She absolutely knows her worth. Speaking of worthy things in this world.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. I believe, and I don't know if we talked about this, I believe that a certain thirsty book is now in the Australian island states. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, any
Yes,
thoughts a bit
yeah, a
about that? A
cruel
little bit
thirst.
exciting.
Yeah, I honestly was so thrilled. A Cruel Thirst is out in Australia now.
It's
Like
out
how
now
freaking
with Alan and Unwin, which is like one of, I don't know if I would call it my alma mater. I did
go
some
ahead.
fucking
Yeah.
courses with them. They're great. When I saw, I was like, oh, I love that. I love that they have you under their umbrella because they're one of their, they're just a darling, they're just a darling press. Like, I really enjoyed doing the courses with them. So I have got very fond memories of like rocking up to that. Like, I've been to the pub house of Alan and Unwin.
Cool.
Before COVID, they would do the courses at the headquarters. It's so cute and like you just have a vibe of all the thousands of books that have passed through the walls.
I love that.
Go up these creaky old stairs to go to the toilet. Which I always find fun. I always find it so fun to see the toilets in like random old buildings because it's usually tucked away somewhere. But yeah, so
That's an
you are
interesting fact
published
about
with
you.
Alan
That's
and
an
Unwin.
well, you know what's funny is I had no idea. So Sarah, one of our listeners and friends from the show,
Yeah,
um, reached out and was like, "Hey, I'm a bookseller. Like, do you want to do a promo video? Your book's coming out in Australia." And I was like,
slay.
"What? It is?" And then I have no idea. I'm imagining my UK publisher must have.
Ah.
That's
Yeah,
how
I
it
was
happened.
wondering because for some reason I thought it was already out here, but that must have just been, I don't know what that was.
Me neither, but I'm super happy it's in Australia of all places.
Publishing, am I right? That's it. I'm
Yes.
super happy it's here. I was like, well, let's celebrate again because aside from the USA, our second biggest proportion of listeners is Australia. So,
Yeah.
listeners, you can officially get A Cruel Thirst via
Yes.
Ellen and Unwin, which is very, very
Yes.
cool.
And I'm going to be pissed if you don't. I'm going to be
I'm
mad
going
if
to
you
be
don't.
pissed too.
Yes, I'm there, guys. I'm there. Somehow, I'm still manifesting a tour in Australia,
It's
and now
gonna happen.
I have a book in Australia now. So let's figure this out, friends. Buy a bunch of them.
Yeah, it just
Somebody
felt like
else.
super. heartwarming for me because I have such memories of going there. And I was even a part of I was like, one of the bookish events that I was going to regularly was their writing for children. They'd meet up at a bar and like a group of authors who were like alumni from their courses would meet up. So it kind of mentally feels like I somehow dragged you into Alan and Unwin. I don't know. Like, I feel like I want to
Yes,
take the credit for it. I manifested
I-
it somehow. Even though you
I'm
never
gonna.
came there, it feels like we went together now, you know?
Yes, yes, it feels right. You made it happen, and I
Right?
appreciate.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's how
yeah.
I feel. I'm a proud papa right now.
It is kind of cool, though. I mean, honestly, that you have such strong ties with them, and then here
Yeah,
my book is over there with them as well.
that's it. Anyway, it's so cool that it's wound up there and it's just like a full circle moment. And I am manifesting your tour as well.
Yes, yes. We're
Everyone,
making.
it's time. I'm gonna check if it's popping up in like all the little bookshops. Anyway, I'm gonna keep my eyes out. Do a
Keep
little
your eye.
sighting.
Yeah, yes. Be my manager over there. Get it in the.
You know
Get it
I
on.
am. I was
Yeah.
so cool chatting with Sally, and she was just like, she's seen so many of the emu thirst traps. She thinks your book is called Thirst Trap. Felt
Yes.
iconic.
It's no, you know what's hilarious though? Because like even now when I type a cruel thirst in my phone, it automatically says a cruel thirst trap. It
Does
doesn't
it?
say cruel thirst. No, it's stuck on a cruel thirst trap. And I'm like, yes, that's perfect.
That's glorious. I feel like those reels are just gonna keep haunting the interhighways forever, which is really what I was hoping.
Those hips haunt me in
Those
my dream.
hips don't lie.
Did not. I was not ready, but I was so grateful for it.
Yes, I'll have to think of some other scantily clad outfit for Carnival.
You're gonna have to do some sort of
I
aerialist
know.
sort of trapeze. Are you good with heights?
I thought I was okay with heights, but I definitely get a bit of like vertigo. And like the older I've gotten, I'm kind of like, whoa. But I'd do it for you. I'd do it for you. I'll have to see what
No, it's okay.
I
I
can
don't want to
find.
put you in danger. I don't want to put you in danger. You were already like crashing against the surf as it was like coming in. I don't want any mistakes, any bad things to happen.
No, but I can always do it low to the ground, you know. It could
Okay.
be
Yeah.
aerially low.
Yeah, just have Phil angle up, you know?
That's
Because
it.
he's good at that.
I have
He's
to
good
cook
at the
something up. I have to cook something up. Do you know when you're going to be able to reveal the cover?
I
Not for
think
a
I still
while.
have some time. I think I probably have probably like 2 more months,
Oh,
I
oh my
think.
God,
I
that's close.
Yeah, I actually she gave me a date and I don't remember when, but I feel like it was like 2 months.
Mm,
So we're like closing in on all the like I don't know, the stuff that you the
the
stuff you
copy
put on the
edit?
book. Well, I'm working on that right now, but like for the actual cover, all of the
The
like
formatting?
the blurb and the synopsis and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah,
of that
yeah.
fun stuff. Bria, my editor, like came up with all of the like the text to put on there and it's
Yeah.
really great. So better than I could have done for sure. So we're excited. We'll see.
We can.
Oh, you know what? Speaking
What?
of my cover, so on TikTok, so like say you create a video and then you could either hit next and it'll
Yeah.
take you to the main page, like the post page,
Mm,
and you can put your stuff in your drafts there.
yeah.
Or like say you're editing your thing and instead of hitting next, there's a button right next to it that says add to stories.
Uh,
And so I was like, because I created like a video of the cover reveal. So I was like trying it out with music. And I hit a button and it just kind of disappeared. So I was like, oh, okay, I must have put it in my drafts. I did not. I posted the cover reveal in my stories on TikTok.
did people see?
Yeah. Yes. Luckily, it was my stories and like stories on TikTok for me, like
It's not a thing. Yeah.
it's not a thing. So like I think 8 people saw it. And I would have never ever known had not somebody commented on it and been like, "Wow, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, so exciting." And I was like, when I saw it, my heart dropped because I was like, "How are you seeing this?" So yeah, so I did my like worst case scenario. I posted my fucking cover reveal.
It feels like a publicity stunt though, you know? It feels like when people make a porno and they're like, whoops, my porno is released to the world. You're like, whoops, I gave you a sneaky peek of my boob's ankles.
I should be doing that. Maybe I should do
Kind
it
of
more
genius,
often.
evil
Yeah.
genius. Because
Yeah,
then
so
you
that was
get
a
like
bad moment.
a little bit of a Twitter happening, you know, like, oh, I saw it, it's so cool. And then they're like, wait, what do you mean? Maybe somebody took a screenshot and they're like, yeah, look, I saw, and there's like getting the bubbling happening before.
Maybe I'll have to. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for that, but maybe I'll try.
No, I think once was enough for your poor little heart.
Oh my God. The way my heart sunk to my feet.
Yeah,
You know those moments where you're like, holy shit.
I know them so well. It feels like you can never fix what you've done. It takes a while to realize the world isn't actually ending.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Well,
Very-
shall we read our lovely guest's bio?
We shall.
So our amazing guest today is Sally Hetherington. Yes, I am part of the program for Chapters for Change this year, and yeah, we just loved everything Sally had to say and all the work she's doing. So her bio says in 2011, at 25, Sally Hetherington bought a one-way ticket to Cambodia. She found that voluntourism was causing harm, deepening local poverty. Sally supported a team in Cambodia to develop Human and Hope Association Cambodia, HHA Cambodia. They built a community center in rural Siem Reap and developed a locally run organization to help locals lift themselves out of poverty. Sally achieved her goal of becoming redundant. HHA Cambodia is now entirely run by local Cambodian staff with no foreign staff, volunteers, or board members. This led her to write her first book, It's Not About Me, highlighting the negative impact of volunteerism on local communities in Cambodia and globally. She was awarded an Order of Australia medal at age 33.
What an icon. An
Such an
absolute
icon.
icon. We are honored to have her on, honestly.
Hello.
Hello.
We're so glad that it's all worked out and we're here and we have you today as our guest. So, yeah, like we'd just love to ask a few random questions. Well, maybe for our listeners who don't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Sally. I live in Sydney on the lands of the Bidjigal clan of the Darug people, and I run a charity called Human and Hope. And so we were founded in 2013. I used to live in Cambodia, and I went there as a volunteer coordinator for a school for former street children. I quickly learnt that actually development needs to be driven by local people. And so I built up a community centre with a team of Cambodians, made myself redundant, and now I'm in a separate organisation fundraising so they can do the good work, which is culturally appropriate and consistent and will create long term sustainable change in their community.
Slay.
Yeah. Slay the house down. I loved everything you just said. So perfect.
Oh,
Where you become redundant. I think that's glorious.
Mm.
That's
definitely. And no, and charities should be working towards making themselves redundant. How amazing will it be the day that we do not need the Cancer Council? Like that
Mm.
would be incredible because they've done all of that hard work to hopefully find a cure for all cancers. Yeah.
yeah.
For
I
real?
think we just need more people like you in this world.
Yeah.
Let's sprinkle some more of you around, please.
Oh,
Yes.
be careful. My head won't get through the door after you talk to me.
We're going to circle back around to these things because I want to talk about them so much more. But just to get to know you a little bit more, we love to ask some random questions. So, what is the strangest or coolest, most noteworthy thing you own?
It's actually something which is right beside me, and it is a Mr. Darcy bust.
Oh my God.
Ma'am, wait a second. Yes.
Yes, I know when my parents went to England, they didn't go to Chatsworth House, but I said, can you buy this on their website and get it sent to you in England, then bring it back to me? So they did.
Oh my God.
Your parents love you. They
Listeners, if
love
Yes,
you're not
and
like
I love Mr.
watching this
Darcy.
episode, I think you need to like go to the visible version so you can cite Mr. Darcy and his glorious angles.
Definitely. It's so beautiful.
you
He's
have
so
taste.
beautiful.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. Obsessed. I will be going on the interwebs after this. I am inspired. I'm inspired. I freaking
You
love that.
should be. Maybe they'll make a new one now that there's the new Pride and Prejudice coming out, and then I'll have to get the new one of the self-proclaimed Ginger Darcy.
Ooh.
Wait, is that real?
Yeah, it's real. Jack Loudon
Oh,
and Emma Corrin.
I thought somebody was pulling my leg when I saw
No.
that. So that's real.
Yeah, and Olivia Colman is Mrs. Bennet.
How do you feel? You look excited. What do we think?
I'm really excited about Olivia Colman. I think that she will make a fantastic Mrs. Bennet. She has such a good comedic range. I'm undecided about Emma Corrin and Jack Loudon, but I'm no casting agent, so what do I really know?
Mm. We
It's
won't
hard.
know till we know, you know. It's all
Exactly.
about the distant heat and if we feel it or not.
Yeah, we'll
Do you
see. Maybe that will be a whole podcast episode you do in the future. What do we
I
think of
think
the new Pride and Prejudice?
it's gonna have to be. Do you think they're gonna do the hand flex in this? Is it a series or a movie?
I think it's a mini series because I really love the 1995 mini series because it's so true to the book. But I feel like they might try to modernize this, but I just like the classic.
Yeah.
So who knows what they'll do?
Mm.
Okay. Well, sorry to take you on this tangent. Actually, you know what? This is your fault. You showed us that glorious butt.
But I love a tangent. The tangents are what I live for. Would you
Yeah.
say, well, no, we'll go on a fresh. I was going to say, is Pride and Prejudice or Mr. Darcy what you think about way too often? But tell us something
I,
else that you think about way too often.
it's so funny because I actually, for maybe the past 2 years, because I only read Pride and Prejudice for the first time in 2020, and so for the past 2 or 3 years, I have often thought about who would I cast in a Pride and Prejudice remake. And then they announce it, and I'm like, okay, this isn't anyone who I was thinking of. Another thing which I think of a lot is the fall of Singapore in World War II. Isn't that so strange? I think
And
about it so much.
wow, anything in particular that stands
I don't
out?
even have a connection to Singapore. So why do I think about that country so much? And I don't know. And I think because I've been a few times, and I think last year when I went, I visited the bunker. It's called Battle Box, but it was where the British decided to surrender to the Japanese. And I was walking through there, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it was the most amazing experience to be there. And they had all of these lifelike statues. And my partner, he said, why is it all white men when this is Singapore? And I'm like, oh, well, let's not get into that. But so I think about that a lot,
Mm.
like a few times a week.
I think about that often as well. I always think, why are there so many white men around? You know?
Mm.
Sorry.
Making the decisions for this population who then had to endure so much horrific things. More stuff that I'm learning about now because I read a lot of historical fiction set
Mm.
during World War II, especially in Singapore. And yeah, it's just so much horror.
Yeah, colonization has a lot to answer for, as we all know.
I was just gonna say, I think that's the power of books, though,
Yeah.
because you, like you mentioned, you're reading historical fiction. Like we're reading these stories and understanding the world in a broader scope. And
Mm.
it's like we've talked about this before, like reading builds empathy. And so it's like you fall in love with these characters, but no, this is based off of real life. And so it just opens your mind. And now here we are talking about it still, you know?
And
Mm.
you'll always find when you read a historical fiction book, you'll go off and Google it and find out more information about it. So I really think that it does, like you said, make us more empathetic, but also more informed and keeping those stories alive. And because a lot of people don't read nonfiction, I find nonfiction to be quite dry for me. So historical fiction is that way that I learn about history.
Yeah.
Mm. I love that so much. Well, we are here to ask you as well about Chapters for Change. And yeah, I am one of your ambassadors this year. I'm very great honor. I want to know, where did the idea for Chapters for Change come from? Tell us a little bit more about that. You kind of touched on it,
Well,
but we want the whole nitty-gritty.
Dig deeper. So
so this was actually so my charity that I run here in Australia is called Human and Hope Australia, raising funds for HHA Cambodia and also raising awareness about why we shouldn't go and be voluntourists overseas, why we should be paying for salaries for the local staff overseas to do the jobs themselves. I have written a book about it. It is called It's Not About Me, if anybody does want to read it. Um, I will, and this isn't imposter syndrome talking, this is saying I'm not a good writer. This is like read it as a blog, but and don't pity me. It's all right. I'm not a writer. Like I'm a charity worker, but that will give you a lot of insight into the mistakes that I made. And people go, well, why can't we make our mistakes ourselves? And it's like, no, communities aren't our playthings. We shouldn't have thousands of people going over and making mistakes so that they can learn and then a community suffers because volunteerism causes a lot of issues and you go there with the best of intentions, but I'm sorry, I have to say good intentions aren't good enough. And
Mm.
we need to be doing our research and learning from others who have been volunteers, who have been part of this white saviorism and Western
Mm.
saviorism and see, hey, let's listen to them and learn that it's the locals who can provide that consistency, etc. And I always say local solutions to local issues alleviate poverty. So that's who we're raising funds for. And
Mm.
fundraising's tough because we have to stick to our values and we have lost money in the past because of numerous things. For example, a film crew wanted to come and go into the homes of people in our community in Cambodia to film. No, it's so invasive. You don't do that here. Why do you think that you can do that there?
Mm.
And corporates who have wanted to come and work with the staff. No, but they don't actually need to be upskilled by you. Any upskilling that they need, they get from local training providers in Cambodia, which also supports that local economy.
Mm.
Or there's been somebody who then wanted to own a project. You can't own a project. The local community owns a project. So there are so many opportunities we've had to say no to, and there are limited opportunities for us to apply for funds. So last year, I'm like, well, everything sucks. What are we going to do? And two of my volunteers said, hey, let's tap into your existing network. Your existing network is in your hobby, Bookstagram, and let's do something around that. So they were actually the ones who came up with the readathon.
Uh,
Grace and Alana. So shout out to them who
yeah.
probably won't watch that, but I can say that I shouted out. And that's where it came from. Then it just grew into this readathon. And last year, the first year, raised $31,000. Can't believe it.
That's
This year we're aiming for
legendary.
40.
That is
Yeah.
so amazing. And I love every word coming out of your mouth. I agree with Angela. We need more people that think like you. I want to circle back to the word volunteerism, who people might like that people, some people might not have heard that word or might not like really understand specifically what that means. Can you like touch on that a little bit more? Because I feel like it's super important. It's an important theme. Like I myself, who grew up very religious, found myself in volunteerism programs until I deconstructed and found reason. And yeah, it's like something that's very celebrated in certain communities. Yeah, can you touch on it a little bit more?
Definitely. So volunteerism is short-term overseas foreign volunteering. It can range from 1 day, which is horrific, to a few months. And it goes in and it puts a band-aid on the issue. It disempowers local staff. Because imagine, so Angela, you are now a published author. Imagine if I was like, you know what? I can do your job. When think of how many years, the sweat and tears you have put in to become a published author, but then someone else just thinks, "No, that's easy. I can do it."
Mm.
That's what's happening. Is kids from Australia are going over and building houses in Cambodia. You can't do that in Australia. Why are you allowed to do that in Cambodia? And I actually run workshops for the University of Technology, Sydney, and I show photos of volunteerism in action in Cambodia.
Mm.
And one of the photos is of these kids, high school students who are building a house. And I say, okay, let's look at this photo. Let's deconstruct it. What could be wrong? And they're like, they're not even wearing any safety equipment. So what happens if they, get hurt? What happens if they're not doing a good job and that house collapses? What happens to that family? Who is responsible for paying for all of the upkeep of that house? Because you're supporting a
Mhm.
family with limited income. They can't do that. It's all of these things, just like in our community in Cambodia. Sorry, I call it my community. It's not my community, but it's where I worked and what we financially support. And I remember one of the sewing students had a well and it was gifted by some charity. And then it stopped working after a few months. And then they couldn't access water. They had to keep going to their neighbor's house to get water because there was no follow up with that community. Same with when we was trying to start this program called the family farm program. And my colleague Salin, he had to go out and find two families who were willing to partake in a trial to see if this program was good for the community. And all of these community members were like, no, we don't want to do this because in the past, another NGO had come in for 3 days, given them stuff, run some training, left, and never came back. All of those farms failed. There was no support for them. And what that impacted on their self-esteem was we never want to try again. So then they're trapped in the cycle of poverty. And so it then takes a long time for HHA to then build that trust up and be like, hey, we're locals, we're here for the long term, we're here to support you. You don't realize what one little action, the impact that that can have on somebody. And you have to be thinking so carefully about what you say and what you do, what you promise. The number of people I came across when I lived in Cambodia who promised, hey, I'm going to go back, I'm going to fundraise. I had this one woman who knew a staff member, an Australian, and she was like, hey, I'm going to bring you to Australia to this staff member. And then I was like, that's not going to happen. And a few months later, she contacted me. I'd never even met her before and was like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Can you go tell him? So I had to go tell this guy, sorry, you've told your whole community that you're going to get sponsored to go to Australia because this woman got too excited. And our relationship was never the same again because I am the one who crushed his dreams, not her, because I was the messenger. I'm going off on a tangent because
we
I
love
get
the tangents, please.
so worked up about it. And I haven't done a podcast in quite a while, so I've got all of these stories inside of me. But
Yeah.
I know that it sounds pessimistic, but with everything in life, we have to be careful about what we do. And volunteerism, you'll never convince me that there is an ethical form of volunteerism because there isn't. And the best way to support community members is to be an ethical traveler. And that's what I will always say.
Oh man. Yes, this is so well said. And honestly, I was just having this conversation with my daughter. We live in we're here in the States, but we're in California, so we border Mexico. And a bunch of her friends, from church, were going down on spring break to build these houses. And she thought about it, and I was like, no. I was telling her, I was like, girl, do you know how beautiful Mexico is? Like, do you know that you guys are just teenagers? You don't have any skill in building homes. And it just like baffled me. But at the same time, like Melanie, I also was part of the church at one point and thought it was like a duty and but at the end of the day, it was really all about me and me feeling good about going and doing these things. But it was never really and truly about the relationship. Sure, people do have good intentions, but at the end of the day, like what you were saying, for many, once you leave, you're back at your house. You're not thinking of all those that are still there. And so I think it's so important that you said this.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Like in my case, I didn't even feel like it was for me. I just felt an immense pressure religiously that it was something that I should do to give back to the community. Because I also did it in my teens. And like, I have that specific memory of like going to the Solomon Islands to build a medical center. Like, in fairness, they did employ the locals to help us, but I have a very vivid memory of us, like up in the jungle, hours away from any town. And I remember coming across a trash pile in the middle of this pristine jungle. And I was like, what is that doing there? That's so disgusting. And I later found out that that was the trash pile from us being there because the locals wouldn't have that. They don't eat that food, but they had brought in all this food to try give us something that we could eat that the fussy teenagers could eat because half of them didn't want to eat the ferns, because they had this fern dish, which I personally loved, but they brought in all these like 2-minute noodles and whatever, and they had no way to deal with like the Western trash that was coming up into the jungle. And after I saw that, it just burned itself in my mind, and I was like, we shouldn't. Again, I was young, but I was like, my mind was like, we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be here. We should, like, the whole time my brain was like, and it was kind of from that point on where I was just like, wait, I don't even know if they ever finished the work on the hospital. I had concrete burns up my leg because, as you say, I was a teenager doing work. I had no clue we shouldn't touch the concrete. Everyone was touching it, but it actually burnt my skin where it landed on my bare skin because we were just in the sun laying concrete out as you fucking do. So, yes, I also have a lot of thoughts about this, especially because it really is presented in certain communities as something to aspire towards, as something selfless that you give back, but it's really problematic, isn't it?
Yes, and that story you just told, like I'd never even thought of the environmental impact of like volunteers going into a village. But Angela, just when you mentioned Mexico, have you ever watched the American version of The Office?
Yes.
When it's Pam and Jim's baby's baptism, and then Michael gets on a bus to go build a school in Mexico, and they're like, "Wait, who do they know how to build a school?" And he's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Do we know? Like, why can't they build their own school?" And it's like, exactly. And
Exactly.
every time I watch that episode, I film it, I put it on social media because it was just summed up in this short amount of time. I love it.
Mm.
Yes. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
I'll also say, even if you do know how to build a school, there are at least 500,000 Cambodians who work out of country because they can't get work in country. So they're working as builders overseas. Families are torn apart. Grandparents don't have to look after the grandkids. Again, cycle of poverty continues. But yet we're going over and building stuff like it doesn't make sense.
And I often find it comes hand in hand with we're helping you, but here's this religion I prepared earlier to like invite you in because we're such good people, and now you see how we're helping you. Like
Yep.
it's
One
it's a
time,
whole thing.
all of these kids turned up at HHA. So Buddhism is 95 to 97% of the population follow Buddhism, but there are a lot of Christian churches around.
Mm.
And one time, all of heaps of kids at HHA turned up all wearing the same shirt. And I'm like, well, what is this shirt? And it was advertising a Christian church because they got it for free. And you would get food for free if you would go to church. And I remember we were originally located at a Buddhist pagoda and then we built our own community center. But my colleague, who was a Buddhist monk, was given a Bible from one of the Christian missionaries. And it's like,
Of
okay,
course.
you're barking up the wrong tree.
Mate, I just want to like, can we just have that on a t-shirt for like anti-volunteerism? Mate, you're barking up the wrong tree.
It should be. That needs to be a logo. You guys need to add that to the
Yes.
merch. Add it to
I'm
the merch.
suddenly reminded of this reel I saw this like I don't know if there's this like island that's like inaccessible and it's like protected because the people on the island have never been exposed to like any of the plagues or anything. So it's protected. They still have their original way of lifestyle. And there's been like these like American missionaries trying to like swim over to the island and like convert them. One got killed and then everyone was up in arms. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, hang on. He approached the protected island knowing they are vulnerable to outside stuff. He decided his religion was the one they needed to hear. This always baffles me how like people are like I'm the one true religion that you need to hear. Like I'm never gonna respect anyone who says that because like if you have seen the world, you can like understand people of different cultures, different practices, different beliefs. The audacity of like being like I'm gonna swim to the island and try convert you. And like he had warnings. They were not happy the first time and then he came back the next day and they killed him, you know? But I'm just
Yeah,
like, what were you expecting? You know?
yeah, I know.
Sorry, I went
And
on
I'll
a
tell you
side
what,
quest.
I'm Catholic and I love Christmas, but not once did I ever say at HHA, let's celebrate Christmas. But
Yeah.
at the original NGO that I was working at the school, this group from Singapore came over to do all of these Christmas things. And then the kids were expecting every year that they would get Christmas and get all of these presents and stuff. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Now you've set up this expectation that kids are going to get this celebration. They have their Khmer New Year. You know, they have all of their own religious celebrations where they
That's
do
it.
get presents. Don't add something else um, onto that. Yeah. So when I was there, I didn't even celebrate Christmas. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting, and it just like and really eye-opening. Can you tell us like a little bit more about your program and like what you guys are doing over there?
So originally, HHA was started as an English school, and they also taught Buddhist morality, but now that was taken out because it's a non-religious school, but because it was located at a pagoda. But so the goal of HHA is to empower whole, and I hate the word empowerment, it's a real buzzword, but I'm just going to use it here. Empower communities to create sustainable futures for themselves. That's their slogan. Um, and so the programs have three tiers. There's education, vocational training, and community support. Education's mostly for kids, so that's what the Chapters for Change Readathon supports. So that's English literacy classes, Khmer, because 1 in 5 Cambodians over the age of 15 are illiterate in their own language. And these classes are supplementary in addition to public school. Public school goes for half a day. Their kids I remember one of our preschool classes graduated, and for the first year they were at public school. They didn't have a teacher. Something went wrong, but they had already learned how to read and write in the preschool class at HHA. So they were these kids from these vulnerable families, but then they were all right, but all of their classmates weren't all right. I think a lot of them had to repeat. So preschool class as well, and a library, and they also get to take books home. So this is me being so mean, but when I worked there, I was like, no, kids aren't taking books home because they'll mistreat them, and they totally do. But that's just how their living environment. We can't help that. But then as soon as I left, they're like, yeah, let's let all the kids take books home, and it's great because then they share it with their brothers and sisters, and encourage that love of reading, and then books can be replaced.
Mm.
And then there's also classes like supplementary classes like hygiene and my body, my rights. It's called Good Touch, Bad Touch. So it's about encouraging the kids to identify different types of abuse, stand up to it, know who to go to for support. HHA is really strict on the child protection, which is another thing why you shouldn't be allowing volunteerism. It's very risky. It puts kids at risk of not just abuse from those volunteerists, but future people, because you're setting up these relationships and they think that this is okay. But then when the next person comes along who's trying to groom them, they're not going to be able to identify those behaviors. They're going to be like, this is normal, and it's not. And so that's another thing. And then in the vocational training program, that's been paused at the moment because we can't get more funds. So for the past, when did it start? 2013. For the past 11 years, 130 women have learnt how to sew. This is in a 12-month program, learned how to sew, set up their own businesses, or gotten employment outside, moved out of poverty. So most of them have moved out of poverty and stayed out of poverty because of this great program. But it's a very expensive program. So per woman, it's about 2,600 Australian dollars to change her life, but we just can't get the funds for it. So that's paused at the moment. But they do also have a social enterprise attached to that, where they do make products for hotels around and everything. So it's a really great empowering program. And then, of course, it all ties together with community support, which is supporting whole families. And that is with outreach, with food, home food garden project, which was founded during COVID because families just didn't have enough to eat. So they can now grow vegetables in their own backyards. Then that goes a step further for those entrepreneurial ones, support for them to expand their farms and actually make a living out of it. And also university scholarships for the staff. And there's a few little projects that pop up in the community support, especially workshops addressing social issues that are identified, like learning how to budget, road safety, diabetes, because that's on the rise in Cambodia. So they have a local Cambodian health volunteer who does that, because Cambodians can volunteer. That's who should be volunteering to support their communities.
I love this all. I want to know how can well, I know, but can you tell us how authors, listeners, readers can get involved with Chapters for Change?
Yes, so our registration's open on May 15th, and there's so many prizes available. And that's what I this is what keeps me going when I have all of these really tough days, you get rejections and everything, is knowing how generous authors and publishers in general are. Like, they are different to a lot of the people that I have dealt with. Authors are and we know that most authors don't earn much money and they're juggling all of these jobs and everything, but they are always willing to give their time and their resources. And I just love that so much. So, when's this being published, this podcast?
I'm gonna try do yours ASAP because that way we can get people signing up. So I'll probably do yours like in the next couple days.
Well, it's not being announced yet, but I'll announce it now. So the first prize for the top fundraiser is a trip for two to Melbourne with a one night's accommodation and dinner with Amy Kaufman, the author.
Wow.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah, so it's a really great first prize, but we haven't announced it yet. So you're the ones who have heard it first. And that's
amazing.
sponsored by Book Addiction because Karen from Book Addiction, she creates special editions of different books.
Mm.
I'm so bad at speaking because I don't know fantasy, so I don't know how to speak about fantasy, but they are gorgeous and she is very supportive of us. So she is sponsoring this prize. Last year it was dinner with C.S. Pacat. So it's
Amazing.
really good that these authors are supporting us. So yes,
So
go to
cool.
chaptersforchange.org from 15th of May and pay a $25 registration fee, which supports a library membership for a kid. And then you get access. I'll send you a welcome kit in the mail. Your dashboard has so many cool little things. You'll be part of a community, and we start reading on the 1st of July.
Amazing. Now, I want to ask, like, is this I don't want to, I don't know the right word, but like an Australian thing, or are you like globally reaching? Like, what's the process there?
We did have a few Americans sign up last year. Uh, Definitely, you can register from anywhere in the world. The prizes, unfortunately, are for Australia only, because of the cost of shipping.
Yeah.
Already, the cost of shipping is just too much to send in Australia. So this year, I've also set up a donation page where I'm hoping that people who win prizes will donate to cover the cost of their postage because that does, put a big dent into the number of people that we can help at HHA Cambodia.
Yes, I was gonna say the same thing about I was like, are the flights international? I was like, I feel like they're not. We better just
Can I
clarify.
come? Can I come? That's what I want to
It's
know.
like, can I come with Mel?
That's what I was like. All my American friends are going to be like, listen, it sounds like the opportunity we've been waiting for to visit our Australian queen. But no, it's glorious nonetheless. What are some of the challenges you've encountered along the way doing all of this?
Opinions. So
Mm.
we've had this very frank conversation, and it was easy to have a conversation with you because you get what I'm saying, but a lot of people don't and they get offended. And so I have to really watch the tone of how I say stuff, which it can be really hard. It can be really stressful. And also when you're you spend years and years and years saying this same message, but then people will listen and then go and volunteer anyway. And it can be really tough. But then I get a lot out of when I run workshops at universities and the students, like 90% of them usually change their mind on and say, you know what, you're right, let's not do volunteerism as a way to help people. So that can be really rewarding, but definitely also coming across people who don't understand that admin costs are crucial for charities to exist. I need to get paid.
Mm.
We need to pay insurance. We need to pay bank fees. We need to pay postage to send stuff out. And there's been this narrative for years of saying, oh, charities should only have a certain percentage of their admin costs as overall. But you also have to look at very small charities and the scale of this. And so, of course, a small charity will have a bigger admin cost because they've got less money coming in, but they still have to pay that one staff member. I get paid part time, work full time because this is my charity, this is my cause. But at the end of the day, I've dedicated 13 years to this cause so far and financially sacrificed myself the whole time. And that's what a lot of small charities do. And it can be really unfair. So that's something that I do often come up against. And I find that females tend to sacrifice themselves the most, female founders.
Hmm.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, that hits. What has been the most rewarding part for you so far?
Definitely seeing the change in the community and like when I go back, so my partner's Cambodian, so when we go on holiday, it has to be to Cambodia so we can see his family. But then I get to see my colleagues and everything. But then you'll come across a kid and be like, hey, wait, I knew you when you were a preschool student, and now you're attending high school. And when you were in preschool, your family was so poor. We never thought that you'd get to high school, but you have. And it's really great to see the impact that HHA and the dedication of their local staff can have on a community. And just the other day, the co-founder was messaging me and saying, like I'm, even though I'm not at HHA anymore, he's on the board. The other co-founder is now at HHA. He was saying, I'm still helping my community because, this is ingrained in me now and it's just so important. And thank you for your help. And I hate saying that because I'm like, I don't want to come across as a white savior, but it is good when people recognize what you've done, but that also what can be achieved together. And yeah, my approach.
Absolutely. Is there something you wish people knew about all of this? Like anything that you just wish you could get across to people?
I wish that people would not see people in Uganda, Cambodia, etc., as hopeless or helpless. They are resilient and resourceful and innovative. What these countries, for numerous reasons, have been dealt a bad hand. Cambodia was genocide, and there's just all of these external forces that have made a country what it is today. But the people are resilient, and we should not see them as somebody that needs to be saved. What these countries need is the money to grow, and that's how we can best help.
Mm, damn, I got chills.
Okay, so just to repeat, because I see we're down to 3 minutes, can you take us through the schedule once more for our listeners that are wanting to get involved?
Yes. May 15th, registration's open. If you are international, register by June 1st if you want to receive your physical welcome pack in the mail. We start reading on July 1. The earlier you register, the better, because there are quite a few prizes for the first person to raise this, the first person to raise that. So you want to get fundraising soon. And we have lots of signed books up for grabs as well. So start fundraising as soon as you get involved. And you can get involved as a team as well.
Very cool. And Melanie, what is your role in this as well?
Girl, I'm just doing what I can to raise awareness.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sure
don't
there's a
downplay
lot
it.
more that I need to be doing.
Don't downplay it, girl. So Mel is a community ambassador, and these are roles that my board looks at and says, who should we be approaching? So Mel was one of the very few on the list for who we should be approaching. And because, we do love Mel, and I love your frankness and your honesty. And I have to say, just one more thing off topic is I keep seeing ads for Angela for your book on my Instagram since it's being released in Australia, but I keep thinking that it is called Thirst Trap because of all the advertising Mel did for it. So that's the sort of person that Mel is. She'll always get behind you. So that's why we really wanted Mel to be a community ambassador.
Yes, yes. She gets in your head. She gets
Yeah.
in your head. The perfect ambassador for this.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it sounds amazing, really exciting. You are doing the work. So thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us and really let us know, like get a peek inside the inner workings of this amazing program.
Thank you. I appreciate having the opportunity to spread the word.
Yes. Honestly, I was thinking that the other day. I was like, I'm sure I'm supposed to be doing more, but yeah, like I hope you know that you're supported and like we're trying to boost you and get the word out there. And honestly, like just appreciate your directness and openness with this stuff because I do think it's like things that like fly under the radar and like when you're living your day-to-day life, people are like, well, whoops, I guess that exists and that happens like this, or they just don't even question it. And they should be questioning it. Like
Mm,
realistically, like it shouldn't really exist volunteerism in
mm,
2025, like
mm.
but it does. Like it I literally saw a post pop up from an old religious person I knew and they're like, we're going to do such and I was like, no. I was like, why? Why? So yes, thank you for sharing your truth and all your words. And yeah, I'm gonna hustle to get this up as soon as I can so we can get all those early subscribers and whatnot. So yeah, it's gonna cut us off any second. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, both of you.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.